story time. So some time ago, I just want to go ahead and start by saying this is a continuation of a story I started on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. Alright? I'm just going to start from the beginning for those of you who aren't necessarily on any of those other platforms. It'll be quick, not to worry, because the brunt of the story is beyond what I've already posted on my other platforms. Okay? So some time ago, I picked up this shift in an ER. And this was around the time in my career where I felt like I needed to stop shying away from the ER. And it wasn't even necessarily that I was shying away from it. I was just sick of it and exhausted. And part of me was kind of scared of going back into that, you know? So I was like, all right, Ashley, you're a nurse. You know how to do this. Stop playing. Stop running. You've been trained. Go ahead and pick up these shifts in the ER. So I did. So it's an incredibly busy day, but I've somehow managed to set myself in some sort of motion, like a consistency. And so when my charge nurse came up to me and was like, you need to take your break, I felt like she was breaking it, like she was throwing me off. And so I kept saying, let me just get this done. Let me just get this done. Let me just get this done. And eventually she comes up to me and she's like, no, we are going to get in trouble if you don't clock out within the next 2 minutes. Leave. Give report to her. Give report fast, right? She points me in the direction of some other nurse. Sorry, my bra strap is slipping down and it's uncomfortable. The other nurse, we're going to call her Layla, like we did on my other platform, right? So I go over to Layla and I start my report, but I always start my report with my sickest patient. Please pay this patient the most attention. I had already started a breathing treatment on her. I had already given her a number of medications to intervene to help with her respiratory distress. The doctor was trying to avoid having to intubate her, and he felt that we could get through this, help her, stabilize her without doing that, right? Intubating is when you put a tube into a patient's trachea, unfortunately, to help support their respiratory system because the respiratory system is failing them. Anyways, fast forward. I'm like, yo, this patient right here needs another breathing treatment. As soon as it is time to give it, please go in there and give it. She ain't okay, right? Obviously, there's more detail in the report, but just so that we can get to the gist of the story, I said, this patient is my most important. And she's, oh my God. She's like, okay, Ashley, it's fine. Don't even worry about it. Whatever, you know? I was like, all right, Layla. All right. And then I waved to my charge nurse to emphasize the fact that I am, in fact, leaving to take my break. Oh my God. These glasses are lovely. I love them, but then they slide down my nose and then they do this thing. Sorry. Okay. Anyways, so I leave, go on my break, eat my food, enjoy, do some scrolling, call family, come back, and I check on my sickest patient first. My patient is in a position that's called a tripod position. The tripod position, I can't do this. Whew, much better. Anyways. The tripod position is a position in which you sort of bring your knees closer to your chest and lean forward a little bit so that you can breathe better. Some patients automatically do that. Some patients have a history of respiratory distress and they know to do that. And some patients, it just happens, like your body just puts you in that position to tell you, we're not doing well. We can't breathe. Find a way to breathe. So that is the position that I find my patient in. And I'm like, you know, you're sort of in shock a little bit because you're like, wait a minute, I thought everything was as much as it could be under control before I left. And so I whip my head and I see Layla kikiing with the male coworker. That sight really did something to me because I could have went up to her. Well, not really, because my patient was in respiratory distress. The point that I'm trying to make is the way I responded was out of anger and assumption. I just assumed that she disregarded my patient. You know, like I didn't think this patient, and this could happen, especially in respiratory distress situations. This patient could have just started going south. But because I saw her shooting the breeze with a guy, you know, flirting, and my patient is over here acting actively struggling, I immediately assumed the worst. And so I said her name with a lot of bass in my voice. I said it from the chest, okay? And after I said that, I'm like waving down the charge nurse, trying to see if I can get people to come in and just please help me get her situated because she's obviously not breathing, right? I'm not trying to go in there and ask her what happened. She's not going to be able to tell me. She can't breathe, okay? I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. And I thought Layla knew what happened. You know what I'm saying? Y'all understand where I'm coming from? Anyways. So everyone hustles and bustles into the room. I'm trying to grab stuff. And I see Layla trotting down the hall in a ditzy fashion, like a chihuahua. And she, sees everybody rushing in. And she's like, oh my God, what's going on? What happened? Are you okay? Is this your patient? You need me to help you? These words that are leaving Lila's mouth, they're giving a very strong indication that she is not aware that she was actually supposed to be covering this patient. Which makes me feel like you didn't give that second treatment that I asked you to please give. And I want to ask all these questions. There's no time because my patient's really not breathing very well. So everyone floods in. The doctor's like, what happened? Did you give this? Has this been given? And he pulls up the chart to eyeball all the medications that were ordered within the last half hour. Okay? And he's like, why hasn't this been given? And everybody's like hustling, trying to get the drugs that he prescribed for the patient. And I look at Layla. And it's at that point where I'm like, look, Dr. Such and Such, we'll call him Dr. Smith. I was like, honestly, I don't know. I'm just completely transparent with you. I thought Layla was covering my patient. I gave her report. And so the charge nurse is trying to break up the confusion. She's like, let's just get the patient situated. Obviously, yes, absolutely. We get the patient settled. The charge nurse pulls me and Layla aside. The doctor is fuming, as he should be, right? Okay? The charge nurse, we're going to call her Jessie, says, what happened here? What was going on? And I said, I gave report to Layla. When I left, I knew that there was a medication that I still had left to give. All of those other medications that the doctor was talking about, Dr. Smith, it wasn't ordered yet. When those meds were ordered, this patient was under Layla's care. Layla had the audacity in her very ditzy fashion to say, you never gave me a report. Like, I didn't even know that I was supposed to be covering this patient. I made an attempt to reach for Layla's neck. And so then the charge nurse says, well, wait a minute, Layla. I told her to give you a report. I saw her give you a report. Praise the Lord. Y'all, it is an awful situation to feel completely alone and abandoned when it comes to your license, when it feels like you're being lied on, So it felt good to be in a facility that I did not know. Remember, this is a picked up shift, to have someone that doesn't know me say, I saw Ashley do what she was supposed to do. Layla is so, I don't know. This isn't the first time I've met someone like Layla. And it was just infuriating to be in her presence because immediately you want to be like, yo, how did you make it this far in life? Much less a nurse, bruh. So the doctor completely unleashes the power of the sun on Layla. Just goes off. And Layla's like, and she starts crying. She's in her feelings. She tells the charge nurse she's leaving. She doesn't have to put up with this. I don't have to deal with this. This is ridiculous. This is abuse. This is mental health abuse. This is causing trauma. Just throwing all of these words out here. And I'm like, yo, this girl, something's not right. And I know I'm not the only one. I know I've only been here for today. Something is not okay up here. And I really hope that something like this doesn't happen again for y'all to know that something ain't right with Layla. Okay? So the charge nurse, of course, just says, you can go ahead and go. Like, you can leave. I'm going to talk to the supervisor, like everybody's manager. I don't even know who the supervisor is. I don't know. I don't know these people. Okay? Ultimately, now my day progresses in a fast-paced fashion as it was. And yes, I still felt like I couldn't catch up because of that whole cluster frick. But towards the end of the shift, the charge nurse comes up to me and she's really apologetic and really supportive, bless her soul. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I don't know how that happened. Not really sure what's going on with Layla, but I did talk to my supervisor. We would love to have you back. I ain't never been back. But the patient, when I left, was stable. Unfortunately, in those kinds of situations, sometimes it can take forever to get the patient out of the ER and in an actual room. You know what I'm saying? Or, in the ICU where they can be monitored and watched on a more close range. It's not always easy to have that kind of stuff happen, unfortunately, in healthcare. Anyways, I'm saying all of this to say that I hope you guys have slid on over to my campaign and donated a little bit of chunk of change. Literally, if every single one of my subscribers and followers donated $10 or $20, I would have hit my goal. And for those of you who have donated, I am so grateful to you. I am so appreciative to you. I'm running out of books to sign and ship to those of you who have donated. So if you'd like a signed copy, and I still got copies left, reach out to me, show me your donation. But please consider donating so that I can turn Zyla, the sexy, beautiful storytelling podcast, into a visual masterpiece for you guys. All right? Let me know what you think about the story. Let me know what you think about Zyla. Let me know if you've donated to my campaign. Keep supporting your girl. Keep showing your girl love. Thank you. Kisses. Bye, guys.